Back to the phone lines. We'll talk to Kelly in Charlotte, North Carolina, listening on the web. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. I have a question. It's about the scriptures about the second letter of Peter, chapter 2, talking about the false prophets. And I'm having trouble. I was raised a Protestant, and when I was around a teenager, I stopped going to church, but I always believed in God and loved God. And then I got a demon by doing transcendental meditation. I wasn't doing for idol worship, even though it is idol worship. I was doing it because of all that yoga thing that's happening with people, and that was part of it, and I wanted to relax because I couldn't sleep because my sister was sick and I was so scared. And so I got a demon because it still is idol worship. And I hear a voice talking to me for about 5 years, and it said his name is Satan. And so I went back to church, and I joined a Catholic church because it was close in my neighborhood, and I figured they would know what to do about it. And they were really kind and good to me. And then I kept going to church and reading my Bible, and I gave my life to Christ with the priest back then. And I'm going now to a Catholic church and to a Baptist church and doing Bible studies and stuff, but I'm still struggling with these voices because I'm having all these dreams, and I know that Jesus said that if everyone who believes Jesus is the Christ is a child of God, and that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart God raised him from the dead, you will be saved, and whoever confesses that Jesus is the Son of God abides in him, and him in God. But I struggle with these spirits constantly.
Well, Kelly, here's the deal. I think one of the things we have to get beyond is the idea that Christianity is just transactional. And if you are sincerely a part of a healthy, well-balanced church, you can receive within the context of the churches that are healthy and well-balanced the graces by which you can become, by grace, what God is by nature. Doesn't mean that you can become God as God is in the Godhead, but you can be a partaker of the divine nature, as Peter puts it. So you quote Peter in 2 Peter, but Peter makes this very, very plain. We are therefore partakers or participants in the divine nature. And the way that that works, again, is not transactional, but it's transformational. In other words, as Vladimir Lossky said, the whole history after the fall of Christianity is the history of a great shipwreck awaiting rescue. But the port of salvation is not the goal. It is the possibility for the shipwrecked to go on to the sole goal of union with God. In other words, life in the Trinity. And if you pursue that through the graces available to us within the ground and pillar of the truth, as Paul calls it in 1 Timothy 3:15, then you can live the overcomer's life. Then the voice of Satan will be replaced by the voice of God. Then truth will replace falsity, righteousness, unrighteousness. Then you can take up the shield of faith to extinguish the flaming arrows of the evil one. But again, this does not happen as though there's some kind of a spiritual elixir or magic bullet to solve the problem. It means that you are integrated into the life of a healthy, well-balanced church. For it is in community, not in isolation, but in community, that we receive the overcoming graces. And there are many. It's not only, although primarily, the Eucharist or communion, but there are many graces. It is the Word. It is prayer. It is giving alms. It is being in the spiritual gymnasium, where you do repetitions just as you would in a physical gymnasium. And as I said to a caller, I think it was in the second segment of the broadcast today, I wrote a book on this very thing. It's called Discovering God's Plan to Protect You from Evil. And the reason I wrote that book is there is so much nonsense floating around, even in the Christian world, with respect to demon possession. And the reality is quite simple. If Christ is within you, that temple, your temple in this case, will not be shared by a demon.